Yeah, I still have the car. This is not the video that most of you wanted, but it's the video you're getting. This setup is fucking trash. If you actually want to bag these cars and drive them, you're gonna have to spend a lot of money. There's just no way around it. I've tried many things that even include cutting the fucking sway bar and welding it back a little bit different to make it work with that setup. And there's just no way around it of doing this right. You're gonna have to spend as much as most of you probably bought your freaking car for if you want to actually drive it in comfort. A lot has happened with the car in the last year. It's got a 5-speed manual in it now, 410 rear gears, and a couple other little mods. And before you ask how fast it is, it's like a 15.2 in the quarter. The thing is, it's just a freaking Crown Vic. This one might be badged up a little bit, with all the leather and all that, but it's just a Crown Vic. And getting these for the front costs as much as most people will get these cars for. So unless you really, really like these cars and you want to bag it, just don't. This was $1,100 for the two of these. It's a bag over strut. And it's really the only way you're gonna make this work. I've tried many different iterations of trying to have shocks on the front of this with that other setup, and none of them are just, they're not appropriate at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what you gotta do if you're that committed to your Panther body to put these in. Also of note, development on doing the rear, you can actually use the factory bags, and I think you can get them on Amazon for like 80 bucks for the pair with the clips that retain them to the frame, and they just sit on the axle, so there's no welding that you have to do to bag these cars. I'll put a picture in right now. You can actually just put a normal NPT air fitting into the factory bags and bypass the solenoid altogether, and you can just air it up like you would any other bagged car. I'll have a link to this particular set of bag overs in the description. So first thing is they come with their own plates. I'm not sure why this isn't welded, and there's no mention of welding these two pieces. They are stainless. There's just a bolt through it, bolts to the top, and then it's super simple from there. I'll get this in there and show you. It's absolutely wild how much easier that was to get in there than the other setup. If you look in there, there are adapters. They're little aluminum spacers that just bring this to be one solid piece basically. They also go in both sides of the arm and up there as well. That just shores everything up, and I mean, it was so easy. I think literally 2 minutes it took me to get that in there. Now I'm gonna button it all up and I will show you what I do with the sway bar. There's basically 3 common ways of dealing with the sway bar clearance when you're using these particular air struts, bag overs. The first one is to just cut that off, like almost flush, just leaving a little bit of nut on there. The second, and what I've obviously done, is you add some washers, which works out to 5 1/8 washers, just to have enough thread still left. And going this way, the very end of the sway bar end link is going to touch the bag right here whenever you air it out. I'm not sure I'm gonna stay this way, but for now it's gonna work. And the third method, and I'll probably end up doing this, especially with how easy these are to put on, is you make a hole the same diameter, 1 inch back and 1/4 inch up. And that just moves the strut more inward and up a little bit to give you the clearance that you need for the sway bar. For now, before I start drilling even more holes, that's from a previous attempt of having shocks with the other system. Don't do that. I'm just gonna run with this and see how it feels for now, and check on this pretty frequently until I'm comfortable with it, or if I have to make a change. And I'll let you know if I do. This cat stayed in my lap the whole time I was drilling these holes. So I did end up doing it, obviously. And just to recap, that is center on center, 1 inch back, 1/4 inch up. Measure carefully, make sure you go straight through, and you shouldn't have any issues. I did air the car out probably 4 or 5 times, and the camera doesn't really pick it up well, but the sway bar end link was just kissing the bag. And these things just, they cost too much to chance it, so you might as well. It still looks kind of close, even with moving that back and having the washers on there, so I'm probably just gonna run it like that. So this is how I typically drive the car, what ride height looks like. There's a fair bit of rain. You can see you can pick up the car quite a bit. And if you want to show up, air out, 1/4 inch pipe, it takes a while. But it does sit pretty stinking low. So I don't know when I'm gonna do part 3, which would be actually setting up the air system and whatnot. The next priority for me is gonna be taking the carpet out and changing it, because this is the second transmission. I'll get to that in a minute. I tore the carpet right there and it's just hideous, so I'm gonna dye another one black, see how that goes, put it in, sound deaden everything. But for those who are curious, that's what the pressures look like at ride height. 84 in the front, 25 in the rear. And I try to keep the tank close to 200. The switch in it shuts it off, the compressor, at like 196. Getting back to this, I popped the first transmission, first and second went. So put another 3650 in it, except this one has the billet shift forks and the 3-ring synchros. And that is where all the money has gone, and that is why the air system is not where I want it to be yet. But when I have the time and the funds to set it up properly, I will do a video on that. For now, the next thing that's going to happen to the car, other than the carpet, is I'm going to do the long tube headers. And if you want to ask where to get this part, the light switches work with the doors open. This is actually, both of these pieces are 3D printed. It's not something you can just buy. But yeah, much better now.